Hey, what's good, everyone? This is Quad B, your man, here in the DC area, aka BBBB, aka Bamboozled Black Baby Boomer, and aka plain old Leroy. And I guess I haven't been on I haven't been live in a few days, only because you can see that I don't have my green screen or my white screen behind me. Um, it's a little bit cluttered. I hope you can't see it all, but we're in the process here. Mrs. Bamboozled, and our two sons are in the process of relocating out of here. We'll be going to different places. Not to worry. My wife is going to Florida to finish up her doctoral dissertation on Black millennials. And my older son is going to stick around here in DC for what? For, just to work because he's on a federal contract. My younger son probably will end up going to New Jersey. And as for your man, Quad B, I'll probably end up going to New Jersey too, although if something pops up, I may end up coming back down here again. But I wanted to let y'all know that, yeah, there's a good chance that in about a month from today, I'll be coming at you from southern New Jersey near Philly. And I'll have the Philly skyline in the background rather than the Capitol. I do still plan to continue with the Planet GovCon series on federal contracting, and I'm having a senior moment here. Federal contracting and private sector procurement. So I do plan to continue that series. We're up to episode 4. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. The information is good. The video quality, I'm still working on. I'm still working on getting to that sweet spot in terms of my how I look. But what I find myself forced to do is go live using OBS, downloading it from YouTube, and then putting it into Vegas Movie Studio and re-rendering it, so the quality might not be that good. The problem is when you take something directly from OBS and try to load it into Vegas Movie Studio, the video comes up all crazy. You've got dark spots, dark areas, they black out. Some of the video blacks out, and it was a trial and error process. And I just said, the heck with it. I'll upload it to YouTube privately, of course, and then download it so nobody sees it before it's ready. But my reason for coming on, let me do this real quick before. Let me do this real quick. Hold on one second. My bad, y'all. This is what happens when you're not a professional when you're not a professional at this. And I just had to send a message off real quick. Okay, there we go. Let me pull up the YouTube. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up the YouTube app, and it is muted, so you can't hear. So there's no feedback. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was just like I guess the big news in the black sector of YouTube this week is some stuff that Mr. Philip Scott of Houston, Texas, who hosts what's called the Advise Show here on YouTube, is he's going through some stuff. He's being attacked from some angles, and the overriding seems like the overriding objection is that he's not married to a black woman. He's a black man who's not married to a black woman. And my thinking was, when I first heard all this stuff going on, was that I thought that was old news. I thought the man acknowledged that he was not married to a black woman, not a white woman either, but a woman who was of, Latina descent. Believe she's Mexican, but she is very fair skinned, and okay, fine. You marry who you marry, you know what I'm saying? But I've been kind of looking through some videos, and I've been taking some notes. So I'm going to go through the different takes different people on YouTube have. Some serious, some funny. But just to give you a little background, I believe this dude started out in YouTube maybe in 2010 or 2011. And at first he was into, making videos about ratchet stuff, like some of the stuff people do, fighting or whatever online. And he would come on and give, very critical commentary. He just this week talked about how he was married to a black woman, and there was a divorce or split up or whatever have you, and they had children together, and there was all the child support issues. And he said at one point he was sleeping on an air mattress because he'd lost everything. And then he met his current wife, who kind of built him up and encouraged him to do this channel. Hold on one second again. Now I know why I'm not. Let me do this real quick. Okay. Let me see. I have been. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Do I need to publish this? The reason nobody's seeing me is because I'm set on unlisted again. Let me see if I can hit publish. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. I'm sorry about this, y'all. I might have to start over. Let me see. Video manager. YouTube's app is not what you call very intuitive at all. Let me see, live streaming. Let me see here. Events. Okay. Maybe I should just start over. But anyway, like I was saying, I'll come back to this. I'll come back to some of the stuff I said in the beginning at the end of the stream. But again, as for those of you who are watching, you have this gentleman by the name of Philip Scott, who hosts a program on YouTube called the Advise Show, ADVISE SE show. And he has been under some fire this week over the fact that he's perceived as being pro-black, but is married to a non-black woman. She's not white, but she's not white either, but she's Latino or Mexican, I believe. Um, or that's what I've seen. I shouldn't use the word believe. And I'm like, and again, he's done a lot of good content on white supremacy and how whites tend to do their microaggressions against blacks, police shootings of unarmed black people and those types of things, even down to a person who might be at a swimming pool at his apartment complex and is being questioned on, do you live here? And I always thought to myself, man, I wish somebody would ask me that question. I'm like, and I'd be like, who the F are you? And why are you questioning my right to be here? And I'll say, excuse me, I live here. Let me see your ID. What are you? What's this? South Africa? Apartheid South Africa? I tell them, get to stepping. And I'll probably film it too, just for posterity or for Phil's advice show, whatever. Hell, no, actually, I put it on my platform first. But so anyway, this week has been a kind of a rough one for the dude. Now, again, I'm going to, just in case you missed it, he was said to have, what I said earlier, he's defended himself. He was married to a black woman. They had children together. They split up for whatever reason. Couple split up. He was left with nothing, slept on an air mattress. And what happened was he met this woman and she kind of built him up. She saw what he was doing on YouTube. And according to Phil, she said, hey, you should probably do more stuff that the black community could relate to in terms of racism and all that, the racism that individual white people tend to exhibit toward blacks, and how some people, now that Trump is elected, number 45, they feel emboldened to say how they really feel or act how they really feel toward blacks in terms of, again, we've had the shootings of unarmed black men by law enforcement, and we've had little microaggressions like, we've had not little, but we've had microaggressions such as, you're at a pool, you live in an apartment complex, you're at the swimming pool, and some white person walks up to you saying, what are you doing here? Do you belong here? I'm like, I wish somebody would do that to me. I really do. But man, what can you say? I tape it. I would be like, look, you need to get the stepping, and I would record it, but mainly for my own platform. And then hopefully Phil would pick it up. Of course, we've got that deal in Dallas where the white female police officer shot the dude from St. Lucia in his apartment. The black dude it was only 26 years old, shot him in his apartment. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? And the cops the police there seem to be, they're losing the PR war really badly, because I know they have an investigation to do, but they need to be more transparent about what they're doing. Otherwise, people will create all kinds of narratives that go flying around. So anyway, but Phil said that this woman, saw what he was doing and on YouTube, and Phil, by his admission, was doing a lot of sort of ratchet type videos. Hey, Zero, what's going on? He was doing a lot of videos showing black women doing ratchet stuff, blah, blah, blah. And this woman told him, well, you might want to change up your platform. And it was after he met up with Lovely T and they went to the Million Man March, the second one in Washington, this couple about in 2015. You might recall there was the Million Man March in 1995 in DC. So this was sort of like the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. And that's when Phil decided he was going to start doing serious news about white supremacy and that kind of thing. Okay. And the overriding lie, overriding complaint was that Phil wasn't upfront about who his wife was, or he lied about who his wife was. And again, I thought it was always known who his wife was a few years back. Maybe it's new news to some people. I don't know. But, okay, I watch Phil's stuff. I'm sub to him. I watch his stuff, and it's good. I mean, his production values are on point. He does a lot of, at first he was sort of like, I remember when he was wearing sweatshirts or t-shirts on his platform. Now he's wearing a suit. He looks like an anchor man. He looks like he could be on. He looks very much like he could be doing local TV news. Heck, if you ever need some pointers in real journalism, because I know you're coming at it from an advocacy perspective, but I came from the school of journalism where you had to be objective. And I know human beings have a hard time being objective because human beings are biased as all hell. But I bought into objectivity, lock, stock, and barrel. And every story I tried to write, for those, if you're watching, you probably know. If you don't know this, I'm an ex-reporter. I used to be in newspapers. I tell this all the time. For those of you who don't know, I was in newspapers from the early 80s to the late 90s. And Phil, and I dealt with a lot of, not only people in print, I knew a lot of, I also was acquainted with a lot of television reporters on the local level. So if you ever need any pointers on journalism, Phil, not to say that what you're doing isn't good, but if you need some pointers on journalism, I'm here to help you. That's what I say. I'm always here to help. So, yeah, he does some good, but he's done some good work. But then all of a sudden, this week, I'm noticing what all of a sudden I noticed this lady who, she's an entrepreneur in the insurance agent in the insurance area. I think she's in Texas also. She goes by, I think her first name is Leah, but she goes by Successful Ladies Live, excuse me. And she went on him. I came across a video where, sorry about that, getting calls from weird numbers all over the country. But hey, Black and hey, Black, how you doing? The cynics, do you think he reports the story balanced? No, it's definitely not balanced. From a pure journalism perspective, no, but that's not what he's doing. That's not what his audience expects. His audience expects an advocacy role, if you will, and an advocate for ending or fighting white supremacy. And I'm going to get into that a little later on too. Not in this video, but how can a marginalized people do things to get the society, the main society, the broader society to listen? I found some things online and I want to share them with you, but that's for another video. I want to keep y'all in suspense. Okay. So anyway, Q Wilson, what's up? And Black in Japan, salute. Nice conversation we had yesterday on the entertainment industry, man. It was an eye opener, but we won't go there. But anyhow, so Successful Ladies Live went in on him criticizing Black women went in on Phil, and she was criticizing black women for financially supporting him because his wife is not black. Okay. And I had to wonder, and I had to wonder what really triggered all this week. And I'm wondering, and I could be wrong. I'm wondering if it's this. I'm going to share a screenshot with you guys. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find that thing. Okay, let's see. I'm going to give me a moment here. I'm going to you have to open in order to do a screen share in Google. You got to go through so many changes. We call advice show. Give me a minute. Advice show TV. All right. Community. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm wondering, I don't know oh God, why is this flashing? Okay. I'm wondering if in fact it was this photo of Bill Cosby that set people off. I saw this on my smartphone. There's this community section of a channel, and I need to learn how to use that. And he says, you see how they were all over Bill Cosby? Now look where he's at today. Protect yourself, brothers. And as you can see, it's an older picture of a much younger Bill Cosby surrounded by 3 Caucasian women. Okay. All right. I saw that. And as you know, Bill Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years for sexual assault of a woman who, despite the fact that apparently she collected a huge settlement from him. But so there's that. That was done. That was what, 4 days ago? And I'm wondering if that is what set everything off, because I always want to look for at what point did somebody decide to go in on this man over who he married, despite the fact that he's always said that he was married to a non-black woman. Anyway, okay. So let me do the stop screen sharing here, and I have some notes here that I wanted to take. Ooh, okay. There are some notes that I wanted to take, and from various, I listened to various YouTubers talk about this. So Successful Ladies Live just went in on Phil about this. So she was a detractor. Now a supporter, in a funny way, was Minister Jap. Now Minister Jap he started a video and he made it sound as if that he was going to go in on Phil. And Phil, I got a question for you. I need you to get this damn chat and answer me a question. And then he goes, does your wife have a sister? I about died. He said, and Minister Jap had a good point. He said, do you know how hard these Mexican women work for their men? And and he made mention of how this woman, helped Phil, legitimize his business in terms of registration of the business and all, and create and really doing things in terms of, from a business standpoint, and not just, putting out YouTube content. And he said, and he said, yeah, he kept saying, yeah, does this girl have a sister? This woman have a sister? And then the other point, he made another good point that, remember, Phil is in Texas, in Houston. Texas was once part of Mexico. And of course, there are going to be a lot of Mexican folks there, whether they're there, whether they were born there legal and legal, or whether they're coming across the Rio Grande or whatever, illegally, whatever have you. But it's not surprising that Phil would run into a Mexican lady or Latina, whatever. I'm assuming she's Mexican. I don't know. And if I'm wrong, please let me know. So it wouldn't be surprising for him to run into a Mexican lady. Now, just on a side note, I grew up in southern Jersey near Philly, and the Spanish speaking people up there were from Puerto Rico, which is also part of America, although it's not a state. And let me tell you something. The blacks and the Puerto Ricans, at least at that time, we were tight. All right. I had my eye on a little Puerto Rican girl at one time, and she had her eye on me, and of course, nothing ever came of it. But yeah, the Puerto Ricans and blacks were tight. This is, again, I go back to the 70s. We were tight. All right. So, because Puerto Ricans definitely knew they were not white. Now, I did go down to San Juan back in the 90s with my wife, and it was really weird seeing white people, blonde white people speaking Spanish. I'm like, okay, that's hey, I love, but I hated what happened to what that hurricane did to Puerto Rico, but I love Puerto Rico. I really, really do. You land there, it's like landing in a foreign country without all the customs hassles. That's how I look at it. So that was Minister Japp's take was, hey, this is a woman who helped Phil out, and of course he might marry a Latina, a Mexican, because that's what's down there, Texas. Then I heard a video from Black Gnostic Speaks, who's one of my favorite YouTubers. He calls himself an amoral pragmatist. And he said he's not, I think he said he wasn't subbed to Phil and he didn't have a dog in the fight, but I'm sure a lot of his subs asked him, well, what do you think about this? So he came up with about an 8 or 9 minute video that he basically said that Phil has to realize, okay, well, first of all, let me back up. Black Gnostic Speaks said that, what did he say? That Phil has to realize that he is in the role of a thought leader. Now, remember, because of his high subscriber count, and I said it earlier, if you missed it, as of a few minutes ago, and this, of course, it can change minute by minute, his current subscriber count was 875,939 subscribers with 2,935 videos. That's quite an output. And BGS also said that, he's a thought leader. Now, as someone who was in the conscious community, as BGS was for about 3 decades, he said the bottom line, it's a reality. It's a harsh reality that if you're going to lead a pro-black or black consciousness movement, if your wife is not black, you will be suspect. Bottom line. Now, most of us don't care who you marry. Okay, I don't care. I grew up at a time where, I wanted to, black women. I wanted black women, but sometimes they didn't want me. And then I would look at white women and think, and they were friendly toward me. And again, growing up, and I said, you know what? I don't know if I want this aggravation. It's not her. It'll be her family. And so you can be part of a pro-black movement. You just can't be a leader. And BGS said about Phil, that Phil, whether he likes it or not, he's now in the role of thought leader because he's got this huge following. I mean, he's give it another few months, he might hit 1 million subscribers. He might be the first black YouTuber to hit 1 million subscribers. Yeah. So, okay. So that BGS is, yeah. So that's BGS's account. And then, O'Shea Duke Jackson has had Phil on his platform on Sundays where they do the ramble of a bunch of black men on the on his platform, and I didn't hear the whole 2.5 hours. As a matter of fact, Phil came on, and another dude by the name of what was that guy's name? Sanchez went in on Phil, but Sanchez came on to apologize to Phil. So, and that's where Phil kind of told his story about, first marriage, past heart, breakup, hardship, meeting the new lady, she building him up, and here he is today. So that was O'Shea. Then I'm just listening to Angry Man. Angry Man was also very angry. He's very incensed over how a lot of women, black women, are seemingly throwing Phil under the bus, more like under a locomotive. Diesel, not steam, diesel. and he said that it's an example of how black women will grasp on that low-hanging fruit, which are black men are. And he said low-hanging strange fruit. Now, if you are familiar with the term strange fruit, that was a song by Billie Holiday that talked about black men being lynched and hanging from trees. What hangs from trees? Fruit. And these men who hung from trees were strange fruit. Okay. And then I heard this really interesting video from someone I never heard before. Her name was Allie Emmett. And I've found her video interesting in that she also talked about Phil's collaboration with a Dr. Mumbai over in Ethiopia, is it? Or I can't remember what country. Now, as y'all know, Phil and his crew went to Ethiopia. And on a personal note, I had wanted to go to Ethiopia too. I engaged with a sleep doctor because I have sleep apnea, and he helped me out. He helped me out with that. But before that, I was put in touch with him because he needed a grant. And I do write grants too. I write proposals. I can write grants. Holla if you need help. I wrote this grant for this Ethiopian doctor that would be submitted to the federal government, specifically the USAID, U.S. Agency for International Development, to build a clinic in the doctor's hometown of Gondar, which is, I guess, maybe an hour or so north of capital of Addis Ababa. So when I saw that Phil went to Ethiopia, I thought, man, I wish I could go out there. And it's other funny thing is I live near Dulles Airport, and every now and then I will see an Ethiopian Airlines jet either landing or taking off. And I'm thinking, man, it would be great to go on one of those aircraft just to land over there. Now, granted, I would like to go to Ghana first, but if I can make it to Ethiopia, that would be fine. Now, as far as the grant, the government canceled the program. Now, the doctor still paid me. This physician still paid me, but for the work I did. But that was back in 2011. But the government does that. They cancel shit all the time, just for whatever lack of funding or whatever. But so getting back to Dr. Mumbai's collaboration with Phil, this Miss Allie Emmett, sort of made a big deal over the fact that, and I'm going to give you another screenshot real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Go to my history page. Because it's hard. It's hard to find anything on YouTube. Well, it's not really hard, but let me see. Okay. Let me freeze it right there. Okay. And let me do a quick screen share. Now, these are lightning bolt earrings. Now, this Ms. Emmett talked about how Dr. Mumbai was wearing these lightning earrings, and she said she and another viewer of a video she was in felt like that. Well, Allie Emmett said that these earrings represent Satan and satanic and white supremacist ideologies. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's news to me. I'm like, really? Okay. So, and the only thing I have to say about that is, okay, let's go. Hold on. I hope somebody told Professor Black Truth that, because he uses what looks to be a lightning bolt on his avatar and his video thumbnails. Okay, so someone might want to tell him, hey, Professor Truth, your logo, your lightning logo is seen by another YouTuber as satanic, of an ideology of Satan and white supremacy, because that was the first thing I thought of. The other thing too, okay, let me come out of here. I just wanted to show that to you guys. The only other thing, oh goodness, where was I? Oh, so invite hitting this. Okay. I don't have a mod. Yeah, I need a mod, because this comment is bordering on disrespectful. So I'm gonna have to remove that. And the other, oh yeah, by the way, the other thing that the Successful Ladies Live said, she kind of made a backhanded insult when she said, yeah, that's why Phil gained so much weight eating. His wife, what they did was, going back to what she did, she went to Facebook and looked up this lady's cake decorating business. Okay, his wife's cake decorating business. So his wife is an entrepreneur. Okay. And she kind of said, well, Phil, yeah, that's why Phil has gained so much weight, because, the implication being that he eats a lot of the cakes that she bakes or decorates or whatever have you. I thought that was kind of disrespectful, but I wanted to just share that with you. I totally disagree with that, but I wanted to share that with you. So, but anyway, those were some of the things that I had seen, and it just seems like a whole lot of ado about nothing. But yes, if it's nothing, here I am talking about it with my little itty bitty microscopic platform of 253 subscribers. But I appreciate all 253 of y'all. Believe me, I do. I watched Phil do his thing for about a year now. And as a matter of fact, I remember when the adpocalypse came up, and that was in spring of 2017, and he threatened to take the channel down and whatnot. And I wanted to be a Patreon, but good Lord, there are a lot of YouTubers I'd love to Patreon. I really would, but my finances ain't allowing it. Now, maybe once I get up out of here, that might change. That might change. I might be able to support some more YouTubers because I believe in supporting Black folks. But here's the thing. I like Phil's content about how white supremacy affects us on a macro and a micro level. But at the same time, in my opinion, it can lead to a sort of fatigue. It's like, oh, not again. Oh, not again. Another what? Okay, yeah, another white person acting like a fool toward us. What I would love to see Phil do is do more videos about Black people who are taking steps to, if not outright defeating white supremacy, which is a tall order to begin with, but work to weaken or minimize its effects, like by running for public office, joining police department, or joining law enforcement. I believe Cerulean Gray, who is another YouTuber here, has talked about how Black men should join police departments, fire departments, state police departments, and get in there and, learn the lay of the land. In other words, dive into the belly of the beast and do what you can from within. And I totally agree with that. Look, I spent time, I know a lot of Black people hated their local newspapers growing, from the, way back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And it really didn't, these mainstream papers didn't really start getting Black people, women and men in them until maybe the late 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. And so, yeah, we didn't own it. And I've said it before. We didn't own these platforms, these companies. And most of the newspapers I worked for were basically subsidiaries of publicly traded corporations. And the problem with working for a publicly traded corporation is Wall Street. They don't look beyond the next quarter. They don't have a long-term horizon. And if they find themselves losing money, they will chop people off left and right. I worked for a company in a newspaper in Southern Virginia. I lasted there 8 months. Me and 8 other people had to go, including another brother who was a photo editor. So this was in June of 1996. But what I'm saying is that it can be done, but I would love to see Phil find examples of people who are running, who are actually trying to change. But he did do some video on a woman who, two women actually, one woman who was campaigning and had the cops called on her, going door to door, just like a politician should do. And then another woman who I believe is in Vermont, who was a Vermont state representative, and she was damn near run out of the state by racist elements, vandalizing her house and all that dumb shit. And he said, come down south where you're really needed. And I totally agree. And I have some ideas about how Black people can do their thing in the South. Oh, ironically, yeah, one time they ran us out of the South, but we're coming back to the South. I would love to come back to the South. That's where my mom's from, South Carolina to be specific. And I have some ideas, but I don't want to say them here because I don't want, the other thing I want to say to people is we don't need to telegraph every little thing we're doing, but there are ways to make our lot better if we're going to stay here as a marginalized, not very liked, as a group, minority in the United States of America. So, let's see. The cynics. I don't know what you meant, the cynics. I don't know what you meant by or patronizing. Um, let's see. We have 2 people watching, 4 likes. Sometimes I wish somebody would attack me. So I can well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like that too much, and Mrs. Bamboozle wouldn't like it either. And I will let y'all know though. Um, you're getting as real can be with it when it comes to Bamboozle Black Baby Boomer. You're getting real as real can be because y'all seen my live stream. I had my wife on the live stream. She's black, although if you don't know that she didn't do that. I wish she had. She speaks very fluent Spanish, by the way. Also, I don't know how she did it, but she picked it up as an undergrad in college, and she's been a Spanish instructor, a teacher in the high school level and the college level for years. But she speaks very fluent Spanish, which helps when we go to places like San Juan, Puerto Rico. So, but I also want to talk later on. Talk later on about. I went and found some things that on here online that talk about how marginalized people can exert a little bit of clout, and I'll save that for another live stream. I'm looking at the background; it doesn't look too bad, but I kind of missed my green screen. But with us moving, that thing took up a little too much space. The stands and the curtain and all that crap. So I had to take all that crap down. This looks okay. This kind of looks okay. Sitting in a dining room area right now, but let me see who else is on. So I don't see anybody else on. I see 2 people watching. So what time is it? 8:26 p.m. on October 4th. Like I said, I will be back soon with another installment of the Planet GovCon podcast. I have gotten some feedback on it, which is nice. There's a lot to it. And yes, this is the U.S. government we're talking about, but there are state and local governments too. And keep in mind, this is your government too. And if you don't like what the government is doing, you can vote and everything. But at the same time, there's still a lot of people who work in the government, totally removed from all that crap that's going on in Congress, with the Senate, with the Supreme Court nominee named Kavanaugh. Who I'm not even going to get into that. That's a whole nother video in itself. I'll wait to see what happens. But I would like to do some more about, what marginalized groups can do, and just point you to the information, and let you make your own judgment. Excuse me. But for those of you, okay, I guess I'm the only one watching now. But as far as this channel goes, if you have a question, holler at me. That would be Quad B 2059 at gmail.com. That's QUADB 2059 at gmail.com. I try to make a point of going into Gmail on at least every other day to look for new messages. And if you have a question or have something you want me to cover, please, send it to me. Please send me an email and I'll get back with you, because I am a strong believer in communication. I'm a strong believer in being responsive. You'll hear me say that a million times. I am a strong believer because my past employments have depended on such. Now, I'm responsive, but see, it's not always a two-way street. especially when you have people who working over you who look at you like, I ain't got time to deal with you. I have to get into their faces and make them deal with me. And these are folks who make 3 times as much money as I do, but I have to go in and make them deal with me. And they don't always like it. But hey, I look at it like, this is why they paying you the fucking big bucks, Hoss. That's why they're paying you. So underlings like me can come into your face and say, hey, we need this, we need that. And if you don't provide it and something happens, something adverse happens, don't come back and blame me. Because if that happens, I might get to a point where I might not give a damn about my employment. And, you and I can kind of go outside and discuss it like men. Of course, these days with women in charge, that would be harder to do. I don't want to get in any altercations with women. So, anywho, it's been about it's been about an hour. But to Phil from the Advice Show, just know that this little YouTuber supports what you're doing. Hopefully you'll hopefully you'll expand to not so much the problems, but let's get into the solutions. And look at people who are trying to do stuff like the politicians, the folks running for office that you had done videos on, and maybe even have them on your platform. If not you, maybe me. But you did a heck of a thing, Phil. You're all at you're about 125,000 subs shy of 1 million, and you would be I don't know if are there any other, maybe Tommy Sotomayor, is he at 1 million? I don't know. I don't know if he's if Phil would be the first Black YouTuber to have 1 million subs. Heck, I wish I could get 1,000 right now, but this ain't about me. Phil, if you're watching this, just know, as they say, this too shall pass. I know you seem like a strong dude and everything, but just know that this older brother sitting on the East Coast supports what you do and doesn't care who you marry. Oh, I forgot to say this too. I know there are a lot of people in the pro-Black community who say, like Dr. Umar Johnson, who say that marriage is a political statement. That's when I heard that, I think he said that on the Breakfast Club to Roland Martin, and then said it on the Breakfast Club radio broadcast. And it didn't surprise me to hear him say that. But when I was coming up, marriage was not seen as a political statement. It was more social and economic. It was social, economic, and religious. That's what marriage was. So then again, here in the United States of America, it seems like everything is political. Even how you unspool your toilet paper, over or under. Could that be I think you can politicize that too. Okay, let me stop. I'm really going on a tangent here. So anyway, for those of you who showed up for a little while, thanks very much. For those who see it on the replay or on the upload, thank you. Please like this video. Please share this video. And please subscribe to the Quad B channel. If you feel so inclined, please support it financially. The links are in the description below. I hope this kind of gave you some kind of perspective on what it would be like if y'all ended up approaching 1 million subscribers here in the so-called Black sector of YouTube. And But maybe Phil did make a few mistakes by not being forceful in his, like, hey, this is how it is. Maybe once a week or something like that. He should remind folks, just in case there are new subscribers. Because, like I said, now this one here, you don't have to worry about me, who I married. You've seen her. Yeah, she's a little more lighter mocha than me, but she's still hot as hell. She's still hot. And you don't have to worry about me. I'm as real as they come. And there's some things I could tell you about myself that are not. I'd rather not tell, at least publicly. If you want to talk to me in private, I'd be happy to spill all the so-called tea in private, because I'm coming up on 59 years old, and I have a lot of experience, and I'd like to think I have a lot of wisdom to drop on my younger Black generation that's coming behind me, because that's what I feel like I should be doing. And so that's about it. So anyway, you guys take care. And as I always say at the end of my broadcast, say peace, deuces, God bless, and we'll holler at y'all on the next one. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.